Okay, so we are up to Mishlei 16:19, and this is thematically a connection or a continuation of last week's pasuk. So let's just quickly look at last week's. Last week's was Lifnei shever gaon, lifnei kishalon govah ruach. Before breaking is haughtiness or greatness or highness, v'lifnei kishalon govah ruach. And before stumbling is haughtiness of spirit. Okay. So I'm just going to put that here in case we need it. Okay, then we got our pasuk. Our pasuk is Tov shval ruach es anavim in brackets or aniyim in parentheses. Mechalik shalal es geim. Oh, it's a little rhymey. Okay. Actually, it's quite rhymey. Tov shval ruach es anavim, mechalik shalal es geim. Yeah, one of the rare actual rhyme psukim. Okay, who wants to translate?
Um, I would say it's better to lowly spirit.
Okay, so I think shval ruach is I think, how do I say it?
It's
Uh,
a noun.
Yeah, it's a noun. Yeah, shval ruach. I was trying to decide whether it's an adjective or not. But yeah, so like better a shval ruach, like a shval ruach person.
But
So you said lowly spirit.
it isn't S. Doesn't S indicate that it's a verb?
Okay, so I see why you can think that. S can also mean the with.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Now it could be that you have a legitimate reading of shval ruach. I didn't see any English translations that said that. So but yeah,
So okay, so better lowly of spirit with a humble one with the humble
yeah,
ones.
yeah. With those, let's say with those with yeah, say those who are humble. Okay. Michalek shalal es geim.
Um, from smooth.
So whenever you have most of the time when you have tov blank made blank, it means better this than that.
Right.
Yeah.
So then smooth. Um, is it shalal? Doesn't it mean like booty?
Yeah, right. So here I think chalek is to divide.
Oh, then
Chalek shalal like in Az Yashir.
uh-huh. Then to divide spoils with the haughty ones.
Yeah, with a hadi. Yeah, okay. Um yeah, all right. So what did I want to say here? I wanted to Yeah, okay. So first of all, I don't think this year we've done any bracket and parentheses psukim, so I should probably just review that. So who knows what the deal is with when you see in Nach um bracket a word in brackets and then in parentheses. And who knows what it is and why. Yeah, Isaiah.
Um, I guess the one in brackets is what's written, but the one in parentheses is what you would read out loud.
Yeah, correct. Okay, so yeah, in the printed Chumashim, then uh what it sorry. I think I just reversed what you said. The actual way you do it is the one that's tell me this might be what you said, but I just am not really with it today. Uh, the parentheses is written and the brackets is the one you say.
Okay, I had it backwards.
Okay, all right, yeah. Somehow it didn't register in my mind. Yeah. So if you went up to a scroll of Mishlei like written according to halacha, it would say aniyim there, okay, um which is poor, okay? But then the Torah Sheba'al Peh or the Torah Sheba'al Peh of the written Torah, the oral Torah tells us that you read it as anavim, as if the first yud were really a vav, and the vowels vocalization is different. And so the Abravanel says that there are basically uh, actually, I'll just say for our purposes, I'm not gonna. I forgot the difference between his theory and other people's, but basically, there are two common reasons why you would have such a thing. One is that we pride ourselves on the accuracy of copying texts. Okay, like in terms of scribal accuracy, but people are human beings, and so it is possible for things to get forgotten or distorted. So when Ezra and the Anshe Knesset HaGedolah were finalizing the text of the Tanakh, they had to make certain editorial decisions about, if there were conflicting versions of Mishlei, let's say, and one of them said Anavim and one of them said Aniyim, they had to choose which one to keep or which one's correct. They had to take a stance, like you don't read it twice. So what they did was they chose one version, but then they kept the other one written just in case that one's the right one, so we don't like totally just forget about it. That's one way to do it. Then the other reason for something like this is sometimes the writer of the Torah B'Ksav, like in this case Shlomo HaMelech, would specifically want to convey a dual idea, like allude to another idea. So he would write it one way, but then there would be a Masorah that you would say it another way. So in this case, it says, "Better the lowly of spirit with those who are humble than to devise spoils with the haughty." But then you're supposed to think as either another interpretation or another layer of this interpretation. Better lowly of spirit with those who are poor than to divide spoils with the haughty. Yeah. Okay, so let's look at the minimalist mefarshim here. So Metzudas Tzion says shalal, which is spoils, in this context means honrav, a ton of wealth. Okay, so it does not literally have to mean spoils like that you took in war, but it's allegoriously like plunder, like loot. You're getting a lot of money. Okay, so it's he's expanding it to an idiom. Okay, next is the Targum of Sadigon. He translates it a little weird, and I'm not fully confident in this translation. Tov lihios shval ruach im hanavim. It is better to be a low spirited or lowly spirited person with the humble. Tov milachalik shalom im hagem. Better than to divide spoils with the proud or with the haughty. Yeah. So what he does is I mean, you kind of sense this when Isaiah translated this correctly, but you feel it kind of needs a verb there. Better blank lowly spirit. What is it saying? So he's saying better to be a lowly spirited person. Okay, and then the Targum I think is a straight translation. Tavhu shval ruach the envana min hu demaflig adisa im gave sane. Okay, I think it's the same. If not, then we'll just stick with this for now. Okay, Art Scroll. Better to be lowly of spirit with the humble than to be sharing spoils with the proud. Okay, that's similar to ours. Refers as better to be humble with the modest than to divide spoils with the prideful. Okay. And then Alter says better abjectness with the humble. That's weird. Abjectness. That's a weird word for shval ruach. Oh no, people say abject poverty. Maybe that's what it means. I don't know. Then sharing spoils with the proud. Okay, they pretty much had the same thing that we do. So we're gonna move this up for now, and then we paste the all this in the chat. Hold on. Oops. What did I do? I'm not gonna move these also. Oh, what did I do? Okay, hold on. Sorry about that. Just move these up. And then I'm going to copy all of this into the chat. Okay, there's that. Okay, these are similar enough to ours that I'm just going to move them upstairs for now. Okay, so what are our questions here? Yeah, Isaiah.
What do we mean by S here? To do it with those who are humble, and what type of being with them?
Yeah, okay, so what does the with mean here? What level of association or type of interaction does this refer to? Yeah, Ayala.
What does it mean to be shafal ruach here?
Yeah. Okay, what is a shafal? 1 second, I just want to check my pronunciation. Yeah. For those who don't know, and if you don't know what this means, then ignore me here. But a couple years ago, no, maybe a year ago, they put in all of the Shva Naz are in bold on Al Torah. So it's Shafal Ruach. So if you're like someone like me that doesn't always remember all the rules, Shafal Ruach as opposed to Shval Ruach. So I was just looking at that because I wanted to know how to type it. Shafal Ruach. What is a Shval Ruach? lowly spirited person. Yeah. And then let's add to that, what I'll say what and what are anavim? Okay, the humble, I guess humble people. Um, and uh, if there's a difference, what is that difference? And if they're the same, do we learn anything from the way it's phrased? Yeah, Ayala.
What is the relationship between the two halves of the pasuk, and how is like specifically the shval ruach and mechalik shalal
Okay, so
seem weird?
yeah, what's the relationship between the two halves? Especially the shval ruach being contrasted with the divider of spoils. And in fact, if you told me that one of these words is if you show me these two words and said, what do you think this pasuk says? Aniyim, poor people, or anavim, humble, I would say, I would be inclined to say poor people, because if it's poor people, then you've got the poor people on the one side and the riches on the other side. And then you've got the shval ruach on the one side, the low-spirited person, and then the haughty on the other side, So you could either be with the haughty who have spoils, or you could be with the poor who are low-spirited. But the way that we're supposed to read it is you just have two words for humble on the one side. It doesn't even describe any situation there. And then on the second side, it says dividing spoils and haughty. So I think that's that's where the strength of the question comes from about the opposites. I'm just going to note that here. If it said poor, then both halves would be opposites, each with two components. You'd have wealthy, and sorry, you'd have poor and spoils, plus lowly and haughty. Yeah. Okay, Avital.
I was wondering why the word like tov is used, like kind of like who are I guess who's it talking to, or like what are the two personalities kind of each side, maybe? Like just I feel like the word tov is like a little bit vague, and also like doesn't really talk about, I don't know, like it doesn't have any like specific characters involved. It's just like in general, like better to,
Right.
or like good.
Okay, I think those are my mind registers those as two questions, even though I could see how they're related. So let's say better in what sense, or by what criteria? Okay, which is always a good question to ask when you have a better this than that pasuk. And then who's the intended audience? And then like I'll nod to your question in this one here. And how does this how does this I guess what trying to think how to put this. How does this play into the answer to question one, or to the question about better? Okay. Yeah. I think we get the idea. Okay. Yeah. Next is my dad. You're muted. You're muted. I can't hear you. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So two questions. Number one, are we saying that the haughty person is dishonest or just haughty?
Just haughty, it seems.
Okay.
I mean, it could be that you can posit dishonesty, but certainly dishonesty is not the main factor, because then it would,
So my second question is this always true?
Yeah.
Sometimes should you align yourself with people who are haughty and
Okay.
skillful and
Right.
getting,
Okay.
getting
Is this always true? Are there times when you should make an exception and align yourself with the haughty in order to get spoils?
And that's
or
why I
share
asked a
with
question about dishonesty, because if they were
Yeah.
saying don't hook up with a dishonest person, well, then I would agree.
Oop, I think you froze. Okay, I think you froze, but I think I got the question. Okay, Isaiah, unless I froze. Did I freeze?
No.
Okay.
Okay, good. All right. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Now you're back. Did you want to finish your question?
Um,
You were saying about if it means dishonest.
yeah, if it was dishonest, it'd be very understandable. You shouldn't
Right.
affiliate yourself with them. But if it's
Yeah.
not dishonest, just haughty. Not,
Yeah, I mean, look, the haughtiness is going to have to express itself somehow,
Mhm.
outside of the haughtiness, because otherwise, I don't know what the pasuk would be saying. Like, there's going to have to be some expression. So it's possible that dishonesty can be an expression of the haughtiness. It's just my only response initially was just to say that the primary factor is not the dishonesty. It's a larger.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Isaiah.
Okay, so I have two questions.
Okay.
The first one is kind of like you said before, like where's the verb in the first half? Like what is the person doing exactly?
Yeah. Okay,
Seem to
so
be nasty.
let's ask that. You know what? I'm gonna actually ask your second question, and then I might broaden this depending on what your second question is.
Okay, second question is on the second half. Oh no, not really second half. Is these really like this doesn't feel like a real it sounds to me like it's setting up a false dichotomy. Like I don't believe that these are the only two options in whatever scenario we're talking
Okay.
about.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I was banking on the fact that you would ask that question, because I think the question that encompasses both of what you're saying, or both of the questions you're saying is what is the decision making scenario here? Okay. Like, the second half at least gives us a clue, gives us a clue. Something involving dividing spoils, right? But the first half is so vague that it doesn't even have a verb. And what was the second thing you said? Oh, how are they? Yeah. Wait, no. What was the second half you said? It didn't say. It wasn't. How are they opposites?
Like how is this a dichotomy? I feel like they're
Okay. Yeah. Right. What? How do the two halves represent a decision-making dichotomy? Dichotomy. Yeah. It is kind of related to the opposites question, in that, like, yeah, what are you doing in the other half? Yeah. Okay. And this is also why I like the reading of Aniyim, of the poor, because then you could say the whole thing is in one scenario, which is if you want to go, if you have some opportunity to divide spoils with a haughty, or remain out of that group and remain poor, they should remain poor. That would just be a nice clean pasuk. But the humble thing just messes it up. Yeah, Ayala.
I don't think we asked what are the definition of anavim and gayim in this context.
You are right.
And then I also have a minor question to add to that, is just why they're plural.
Okay. So okay. So we asked what anavim are, in what shval ruach and what are anavim, but then what are geim, haughty people? Yeah. I gotta turn this off for 1 second. Okay, anyway. Right. Another question that made me think of, did we ask what spoils are? Or were we just kind of assuming that was a question? No, I don't think we asked what spoils are. Right. So what are spoils in this context? And I'll use both, I'll acknowledge both meanings, right? Is this, something, I guess, is this meant to evoke, plunder? Or is this just a word, an idiom describing, lots of wealth, like Matsudos? Lots of wealth. Yeah. Okay. By the way, just going back to methodology for a second. Lately I've been stressing my Mishlei shiurim. I think I mentioned this in a morning Mishlei shiur. That someone recently asked me, why don't you just come up with a list, like a template with all the questions that you always ask, like what's the decision-making scenario, who's the intended audience, what are the two sides? And the reason, and I told him that that would defeat the purpose, because the purpose is not to get the questions on the paper. The purpose is to have your mind arrive at the question through natural thinking. And this is what happened here. Is Isaiah asked two questions. One was about the dichotomy, and the other one was about like just how to understand the first half. And then from thinking about that, we got to the question about what the decision-making scenario is. And I think that is the better question, but since our minds got to it through Isaiah's questions, then it's a different question in our minds, So I think that's why you shouldn't just like rattle off the questions. Like it should be coming from the mind. Like there should be like a detector that you could like, strap on someone's wrist. And like when they ask the question genuinely, it's coming from their mind, then it turns green. Or if they're just parroting the question, then it should turn red. That'd be a good methodology device. Yeah, Isaiah?
Okay, another question is Machalik Shalal, so separating spoil. Like to me, that kind of sounds good, like just as an action to like to share, or to like you're not, this person is not keeping everything that's there, or stealing or hoarding or something.
Yeah.
So like what's up with, why is it portrayed as the bad thing to be doing?
Okay, so let me just see if I'm making something up. Hold on. Oh no, it's okay. Yeah, so I think I am thinking of we do say it's an Oz Yashir, right? I'm not imagining that, right? In Oz Yashir.
This whole pasuk, or
Yeah, Shalal. Yeah, there we go. Amar Oyev, Erdof Asig Achalek Shalal. Right. So the enemy says, I will chase, I will catch up with them, and I will divide spoils. So I think this is just normal like war talk. Like the reason why it's dividing is because you don't usually, I don't think it's usually capable for one person to plunder something, in a war scenario like that. So I think it's just, I think the bad part, so the bad part is either from the fact that it's shalal, and we have to assume some negative connotation here, which is not intrinsic. Like, if you go to war against bad enemies, then taking their plunder is good. So, but either you have to get it from here, or you're getting it from Gaim. I don't think the dividing is negative. I think it's just describing like a normal scenario of loot. So that's my take. Ariel.
Yeah. What's going on over here? Like, what's the subject of this pasuk?
So the subject, I think, is the main subject is easy, I think, which is whether it's better to be with the humble or with the prideful. And I think that's part of the larger subject of pride and haughtiness, which is the last pasuk that we had. Now, you could say, is this I mean, in other words, intuitively, I think this is either the subject of pride or hanging out with prideful people. I doubt that the subject is as narrow as being confined to like a Chalak Shalal situation. But so I would assume that. I mean, maybe we'll find a smaller idea, but I think I would bet money that it's pride. But yeah.
Well, I guess you're right. I guess
pride and humility. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Well, I guess I was just more asking because, like, I know the pasuk, says like it has to do with humility, and I guess it's really, I guess a part of the question is like, what's the decision making scenario? But
yeah, right, yeah, that's why I thought your question was coming from. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I also want to point out, by the way, that you can look at these two as continuation also, because it does say Gova Ruach and Shval Ruach, which are like, I think, the most literal opposites you can get, because high spirited and low spirited, like that's like literally the opposite. So it seems pretty clear that it's connected. Okay, Ariel, is that a new hand or is that the old hand? Okay. Okay. Do we have all the questions? I will ask. I'll change Isaiah's thing into a question on just an open-ended question, which is is there? Oops. is there any special implication or connotation of dividing spoils, or is that just the normal way that spoils get distributed? Okay. All right, so let me copy and paste these questions into the chat, and we'll have our thinking and see what we come up with. Questions 6. And then we've got 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so let us take our minute to think. If I freeze, let me know. I keep on getting this thing that says my internet connection is unstable, so that's what I'm worried about.
Good question.
Yeah.
So it's hard to ask because we don't know what's going on very well, but like this seems kind of obvious to say. It's whatever scenario this is talking about seems like it would be obvious because you're associating with the humble instead of the haughty.
Okay, so I actually think I'm not going to say that this is the entire reason for this pasuk, but my dad's question about is this ever not true? If I took you back to the founding in a time machine, if I took you back to the founding of Amazon, and I said, hey, I don't know if Jeff Bezos is haughty, but like if you have a chance to get in on the ground level of like some billionaire, a $1 billion company, and with someone who's haughty, Steve Jobs, right? Steve Jobs was definitely haughty. You have a chance to get in on the ground floor with that and divide spoils with that person, or remain on the sideline with someone who's humble. I think that's a pretty like big temptation, so that's why I think the question my dad was asking is important is this saying never do this, we're just saying generally it's going to be a bad idea. But I think that to put it bluntly, spoils are tempting, or look, we know a lot of people, I'm not going to name names, but we know a lot of people who went into finance and made a lot of money, and can you imagine the big egos just like in those professions in general, or some of us are in real estate, and there's lots of money to be had there, and there are big egos involved, so I think this is it might be intellectually obvious that humility is good, but it is not intellectually obvious that you should avoid dividing spoils with haughty people. I don't think. Yeah, Ariel?
Yeah, I had a basic idea.
Yeah, sure. Okay, yeah, sure. I feel like I riled myself up into idea territory already. Yeah, go ahead, Ariel.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking that, and I don't know if this is true, but I'm just gonna start saying it. Maybe it may lead to something, but I think that maybe the pasuk saying that. I think it's dependent on the situation. I think that if you're an individual who feels that if you're an individual that if you're emotionally capable of being on the sidelines,
yeah,
and not and not want to be in the spotlight and whatever it is, then like maybe it's not, maybe look, practically speaking, you may just have to divvy up the spoils with anyone if it fulfills a specific objective that you want.
mm-hmm.
If that objective has nothing to do with your own, I guess, like reputation and becoming like high status individual, whatever it is. Like the example that I'm going back to is like Avram Avinu.
Yeah.
Like I think there are two examples with him. One is where he bought Marat Hamachpela for a very high price, and the other one was where I forgot, it was one of the Melechs who offered him a lot of money and he refused to take it.
Yeah.
And I think at least in that idea was he like he wanted to be very clear that that's the being that
Ariel,
so maybe you could say that like if he
broken
took
up,
them,
but it might be my end.
No, I broke up for a second also.
Oh, okay, fine. All right, so just say what you said again, Ariel.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I was just saying with Abraham Avinu, with that with that melech, if he took the money from the melech, then he would say, oh, I'm the one who made you, I'm the one who created you and all this wealth, and it wouldn't have been very clear that it was God who made Avram Avinu the way he was in terms of his wealth and whatever. It wouldn't have been hashgacha.
Right.
So Avram had a very specific purpose, and he needed, for whatever reason, needed to make it clear that it was Avram Avinu. So if I divvy up my spoils with someone who's haughty, right, then that individual, he would say, oh, it was this entire event that transpired was through me. I'm the ego.
Right.
I'm the person here who led the whole thing or whatever it was. So you're just an accident to the whole thing, even though we divided it equally.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So the idea here at the end I really like, and the idea at the beginning I'm not sure if it was a different idea or if I misheard it. So let me start. Yeah.
I was just saying in the beginning, I'm just not. It's a question mark. I'm just not sure if it's in all situations or if it's only in situations that you don't care about who gets the credit for it or not.
Right. I hear what you're saying. Yeah. All right. So let me just try to capture this here. Okay. So I'm going to start with the part that I definitely do understand. So the second half is warning you that haughty people will take all the credit of the spoils, even if you you earned an equal part. Okay. And according to this, it's possible that if you don't care about the credit, then you can take advantage. Oh, sorry. Then you can split the spoils with a haughty. All right. So is that part capture what you were saying for that first part?
Yeah.
Incorporating the question. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Okay. I realize that we forgot. I want to add two more questions. Okay. I'll add them to the end. One is this specifically? Maybe this is kind of picking up what was bothering Isaiah. Yeah. I'm going to add this to this question. Alternatively, is this only true when you're dividing spoils with a haughty? Or could it be involved in, or could it apply to any financial arrangement? I don't know, like buying something from a rich guy, or selling something to not a rich guy, to a haughty guy. Same thing, no. Guy, or to or selling something to a haughty guy. Yeah.
I have a on my idea. I guess the question is practically speaking, if people know, let's say you were on this together, what's the harm? Meaning if then who really cares? So
I'm gonna say either way, what is the harm? Because I think what's the harm according to yours or against yours is going to be a fruitful question. I just want to write down the other question I forgot to write down before. So what is the implication of the Creek sieve, i.e. the fact that the pasuk is written as poor but read as humble? According to those meforshim who say that this technique reveals a double level idea, what is that idea? Okay, next is my dad.
So
Unless he's frozen
the
again.
issue here
Or I'm frozen.
be taking the money, dividing the spoils. The issue, the danger in what the humble person is doing is that he'll get exposed to the haughty, successful person, and be influenced, and see that person as a role model, and it can result in changing his behavior.
Okay, so the danger, that's a good one. So the danger is that if you divide spoils with the haughty, then his haughtiness will rub off on you, and that will lead to the problems in Mishlei 16:18. See above, right? Yeah, okay, good. Now I don't know if the audio was bad. Or my audio and video froze, so I don't know if I missed anything when you saw in the first half.
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
No.
all right, good. So I like this approach though. So let's work out what would the first half be saying then? The question for everyone here. Does humility rub off on you also?
Does humility rub off on, say again?
In other words, is the first half just the opposite of the second half? That just like you should avoid dividing spoils with the haughty, even if you get a lot of other benefit because he might influence you, is you know, can humility rub off on you also? What do you guys say? I think so. Okay, so I think maybe it's saying like this, which is the practical advice. And humility can rub off on you also. Okay, I'll give you an example in a little while. Actually, I'll give you an example now. I heard this. I feel like I told this. Where did Ayala go? Ayala, yeah. Did we? I might have said this in our English class. I don't know, but like I heard this thing. This guy was interviewing Ruth Bader Ginsburg, like when she was like pretty old, and he was a normal interview, but then he said that like every question she took like 5 seconds before she started answering. Yeah, you remember this? Yeah. And he thought it was just like her old age and like that there was, she's a little slow in the head. And then I think the interviewer like mentioned it to someone like later on, and the person said like, "Oh yeah, she's done that ever since she was 20. Like she listens and then she thinks before she talks, and like you can imagine if you were around a person like that for long enough, then you would realize like, oh, I just like assume that I know what people are going to say and I just say it, or like I'm so eager to like say what I'm thinking. There are certain just behavioral norms that you can pick up from being around people like that, and you can also see the benefits of how people interact with them. Like I'm sure we've all met people who are just genuinely self-effacing and humble, and like people just they exude a certain charisma that is not coming from like glitz and glamour. It's like you just like Rabbi Moskowitz would say like they have the Mishlei at the end says sheker hachein bevel hayofi, that chein grace or charisma is false. But there are other pasukim in Mishlei that say chein is good, and Rabbi Moskowitz says there's two kinds of chein. The bad kind of chein is like when you are pulling people in through like your superficial appearances or manipulation or whatever it is. But the good kind of chein is when you don't have bad midos, and so people just feel at ease with you and just don't feel threatened, and then you just get along well with them. And so you being around someone like that, I think you can like be like, oh, I want to be like that, So the practical idea maybe would be like this, which is that it's not worth exposing yourself to the character of a haughty person, even if you could earn a lot of profit, okay, in any way, okay, because the danger of negative influence is too high, okay. Similarly, you should forego. See, I keep on going. It really. I'm going to go ahead with the poor person thing here. Yeah, I mean, look, you could say that you could say like this. You could say that it means better to be low-spirited with the humble and not divide spoils than to divide spoils with the wealthy. Like the implication is that the first half is not dividing spoils, and maybe that's what the lowly spirited is. Also, is like remaining on like a lower rung of society. Because anav is like modest, like a character trait. Shval ruach might also be like a low place in society. So I would say similarly, you should forego opportunities to gain wealth and remain poor or lowly in order to spend more time with the humble because of the benefits you'll reap in your character in learning from them, right? So in other words, like if someone offers you mentorship as a hedge fund manager at like a really haughty like firm or whatever, and you also have the ability to like apprentice with someone who's poor, you can look at the apprenticeship with the person who's with someone who's humble. You could look at that apprenticeship as though you're investing all of the would-be profits that you would have earned from from that experience with the hedge fund, and you're doing two things. You're investing it in spending. You're basically paying to spend time with like this humble person where his traits will benefit you, but you're also giving up the huge cost of totally destroying your character by becoming haughty like that person, So this is a good idea. Okay, good. I really like this. Yeah. Is that coming from Ayala? Parties. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say another practical application is that like when thinking about like living a luxurious lifestyle, like another factor to consider is like your peer group that you're putting yourself in if you do
Okay,
that.
that's good.
Like besides for the consequences itself.
Yeah. When considering a peer group, for example, those with a haughty, wealthy, luxury lifestyle, take this into consideration. Yeah, that's all. All of the whenever you watch interviews of famous actors and actresses who went into Hollywood and became really successful but remained normal, I feel like the thing that I always hear them say is that they don't live or spend time in LA with all these other celebrities. They spend time with their family. They spend time with their friends from before they became famous. And like they're just not in with that whole group of the people who are like all either egotistical or stoking their ego. So that's good application. Yeah, Isaiah.
Okay, so Tamara and I both have ideas.
Okay.
So I guess
Sure.
I'll go first.
Go ahead.
So the way I'm thinking about this is kind of similar to the idea that we were just discussing. So I guess like when you go like the scenario I'm talking about is when an opportunity to join in a venture with a haughty person presents itself. So like the very act of deciding to partake in that venture and like divide spoils with him, it's kind of itself an act of haughtiness, because like if you think that you can go into that and not be affected by him, slash like not have to act in a haughty way in order to like keep up with him, then like I think you're fooling yourself. Like it's haughty even to just involve yourself with him. So
Okay. Yeah.
so what the first half is saying is that you should do this act of like of lowering yourself, of being shval ruach, in order to and staying in like the category of the Navim, which is really in this case I am viewing this mostly as like business. So you're going to be poor from doing this, but like it's better to do that and to lower yourself and shy away from this venture than to even to start with the haughty person.
Okay, good. I like this also, and this is it's very interesting how similar your idea is to my dad's, but also very different. So let me just try to articulate the similarity here. Is my dad was saying that the decision-making scenario is, the real decision-making scenario is spending time with someone who's haughty. And I think the pasuk is saying dividing spoils because it's saying even if you're going to profit from it, then it's going to harm you. And it is better to be with the poor. Sorry, I keep on saying poor. To be with the humble, because I like that way of reading it better. To be with the humble, because that's going to rub off on you in a good way. What Isaiah is saying is starting off in the same place, which is if you have an opportunity to join with the haughty and divide spoils, then the act of the joining yourself with them exhibits or stems from a haughtiness that you think you're immune to this. And the way to counteract that feeling is to do an act of lowering yourself, which is explaining why it's saying shval ruach, like better to be a shval ruach, like just, it's almost, again, it's poetically, it's like why is there no verb here? Because I think, Isaiah, maybe that was what you were picking up on when you read it, even though grammatically it doesn't work out, is that like when it's saying better shval ruach is like better to just be a shval ruach, like to do an act of being a shval ruach. So like almost is using the noun shval ruach as like a verb, and remain with the humble in order to avoid that. Is that a good summary of your idea?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, let me just think about it for a second. I just want to give an example if I can. Yeah, let me see who's in the share. Hold on. Yeah, I'll turn off the recording and give this example. Yeah, Tamar.
Okay, wait, yeah, I'm on mute. Okay, hi. So I wanted to make a move that I think I've heard you make in other pasukim, but I'm not sure, which is that when you have this comparison, it's because there's something that you think you can achieve with the second half that's actually better achieved with the first half.
Interesting. Okay, good. That sounds Mishlaic.
Yeah. So it's a little bit speculative, but I was just trying to think of things that you might think you're achieving with Mechalik Shalal.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm not sure exactly what it would be, but let's say it's like security or like feeling good about yourself or something like that.
Yeah.
That you think it's exciting and good to be splitting spoils, but if you're with haughty people, they're like competitive and backstabbing, and you're going to end up feeling more insecure. But if you're with humble shval ruach people, then you'll end up feeling more comfortable and confident in the end.
Okay, so the pasuk is talking to someone who thinks they can achieve something in the second half through Mechalik Shalal, and the chiddush is that you can only, is that you won't achieve it that way, but you can achieve that by being with the humble. Yeah, I forgot to put this in English. So I'm here. Half through dividing spoils. So for example, security, or let's say not popularity, but like status, yeah, status, right? And this is saying that no, you're going to be it's going to make things worse for the reason that we said, and you're going to get through the first half. What that reminds me of is Meiri, I forgot where, I can find it, but not I don't have my books on me or whatever. Says that haughtiness is the root of all bad midos, and humility is the root of all good midos. So there is a good chance that Tamar is right, that like whatever you think, I mean, I guess if it's yeah, we'd have to think this through. Is it just in midos or is it in gains also? Like midos or emotions, yeah. But interesting idea. That is a creative read. Yeah, I have to think about whether that's true or not. Yeah. Okay, let's do another one. Yeah, Avital.
Okay, so I don't know. Mine's like sort of like different half-baked ideas. They're not like
Okay, I also have that. Yeah.
One is I was thinking with the word like tov being more like an objective betterment. Like it sounds like neither shafal ruach nor being part of the haughty people is like where you want to be. Like neither of them are great scenarios.
Yeah.
And I guess one thing that I noticed was the first part, it's the people. Wait, I just want to see this for a second. It seems like it's like the people who are humble or lowly, whatever, like that's really who they are, like kind of like Toho Kibaro concept, versus like the other part with the people that are like haughty, like there's a sense of haughtiness where it's like it's totally not reality. And like, okay, like they have these spoils, so everything looks like it all kind of lines up in that way, but like it really doesn't. Like these people have an inflated, whether it's ego or like twisted version of reality. So objectively, it's better to be with those people that are like toho kibaro, basically, that are really like they're lowly and like that's their state, but like that's really who they are. Like there's a genuineness to that versus to be in a place where it's like, okay, like these are a bunch of fake people. And I think like it's not intuitive because let's say I even see like in my classroom, like there are kids who like just want to be with the cool kids or they want to be with, let's say, the louder kids. I don't know. They're obviously not objectively cool, but like they want to be seen or feel like things that they're doing matter also. But like it's so much better for them, like midos wise and like in reality wise, to be with the people that like are in this quote like lower state but like are genuine to who they are. And those are the people that I think really end up with like Tove and end up in a better place.
Yeah. Okay. So I like the message that you're saying. And I think it also showcases the definition of haughtiness that we had last week, which we said there's two. I mean, my idea, I said that there's two facets of haughtiness. There's Gaon and Gova Ruach. And what I want to say last time, I'm not committed to this pairing up, but Gaon is when you think that you are greater than you actually are. And Gova Ruach is when you think that your place in reality is greater than it actually is. And those two definitely overlap, but one has to do with like if I think that I can play basketball, better than my actual ability, so then that is Gaon, and Gova Ruach is that clearly I must never lose a game because everything has to cater to my desires. Those are two like facets of the same thing. And then so your definition of haughty showcases that quality, and then it also showcases the humble, which my understanding of the Torah's definition of humble is having an accurate knowledge of who you are and what your place is in reality. That's why Moshe Rabbeinu was the humblest person who ever lived, because he not only did he know himself, but God, b'chol beisi nemanhu, that God showed him the entirety of knowledge that there is to know, and therefore Moshe Rabbeinu really knew what his place in the universe was, and so it showcases both of those really well, and the quality that is going to radiate from these people. I think, I know it's an overused term, but like the genuineness and realness and authenticity, I think that is something that like is beneficial. The only thing I am not satisfied about in your interpretation is why the pasuk has to emphasize dividing spoils, and I realize that you can ask this on any of our approaches, but so far, like the approaches we've shown argue that like that's going to be the temptation, is like the spoils are going to be the temptation. And I feel like the point you're making is so strong that the haughtiness itself, the fact that they are larger than life, is the draw. But like I feel like the Mechalik Shal is like wedged in there. So maybe I missed something in your idea, or maybe you can explain it in a way where like accounting for that. And also it does bother me. And again, this is not just on your idea, but like it's gonna bother me if the lopsidedness of the pasuk bothers me. The fact that it doesn't really describe actions or parts of the scenario in the first half, but it does in the second half. So like to the extent that we can address that, then the better.
Yeah, I guess I just like in terms of one thing for like the dividing spoils, is like, let's say, and again, going back to that same like kind of student example where like in some ways, like there's a limited amount of like attention that people have, sort of. So like in that way, like becoming part of that crew, even if that's not you, like there is some sort of like, I want to literally like take part in that. Like I want to have a piece of that, whatever it is. But like with that comes like the gaiva of like having this distorted like reality basically that you just don't have when you're not, there's nothing to be divided because like you are who you are and like your space is genuine to your space. You're not trying to like split anything that's not reality up.
Right. Okay. So let me try typing this out, and then we'll see if there's anything we can add, or if it stands on its own. So haughty people have this aura around them, generated by their the way they like distort their own their greatness in their own eyes and in the eyes of others. Sorry, in the yes of others, and the eyes of others, and it can be tempting to want to join them to share in that. Yeah, I mean, I remember the first time I heard this idea was from Rabbi Yoni Sachs, who was talking about Paro and how Paro, believed he was a god, and why did all of the the Egyptians, serve him? Because they were part of that society and they could climb up the ladder or whatever, But then why did the Jews resist leaving Mitzrayim so much? And so Rabbi Sachs said that, part of it was this feeling that that I can somehow partake of I deep down I want to be that Paro, and if I reject that, I'm kind of real, admitting that level of greatness can't exist. So by somehow associating myself with Paro, even if I'm in a lower situation, I'm somehow I'm living the dream vicariously through that in a way, like in the the high school dramas, it's the queen bee who's the center of attention and popular and everything, and then the girl who is bullied by all of the more popular girls, and she allows herself to be in that situation because part of her just wants to partake in that glow, So that's what Avital's describing in the second half. But in truth, it's so much better to be around the humble who are genuine and authentic and don't distort your view of them or yourself in any way. And you should go out of your way to make them your company. All right, what am I missing? Yeah, Vital?
I just had one more point. It's a drop of a different thing. I was just thinking about it in a little bit of a different way.
Yeah.
That trying to divide something with people who are haughty, you never actually are gonna get the piece that you're gonna get.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, that's what I that's my half-baked idea. Okay. So I'm gonna start this on a new thread here, which is like this, which is the second half. Is that if you if you enter into an agreement with a haughty person, even if you're getting some of the spoils, you're never going to get what you want, because they're always going to either try to take credit for more than they've earned. Okay, that's like what Ariel was saying, or believe that they're just owed more, or that their role was greater, or that they etc. Okay, in other words, they're going to try to take more than their than, I don't want to say their fair share, because it's not really about the fairness. But the point is that not only will you lose out on the spoils, but it will be a miserable experience. Okay. We had an example of this. Ariel, you can correct me if wait, is Ariel still there? No, I guess he's not, unless I'm just not seeing it on my screen. Ariel and I heard an anecdote from someone over Shabbos, which was that this is in real estate, and this friend of ours, his, I think it was the company he was working for, him, I forgot who it was, did this deal with this billionaire, okay, and they signed it and agreed on it, and then the billionaire called them afterwards because he was upset that he felt like he didn't make a good deal, and he demanded that they report to him all of the money that they're making on this building that they bought from him, and give him a cut of it. This was after the whole deal was done, and our friend said he just laughed at him and said no, you made the deal, you didn't have to make the deal. But he said that this guy just could not stand the fact that it's kind of I guess it is buyer's remorse. It's literally buyer's remorse. Is he sold his or not buyer's remorse, whatever, seller's remorse. He sold his building, you know, and like because he was a billionaire with a big ego, he couldn't live with the fact that he lost. Like he somehow lost, and to the point where he was making these ridiculous demands, you know. So like, yeah, I mean that's the kind of thing. You know, there's a lot of pasukim in Mishlei about the haughty person that has, you know, there's no bounds to his ego. He could do crazy things, you know. So if you think you're gonna get, let's say even you do get what you want, but then let's say this person then goes around and spreads around town this rumor that like you mooched off of him, you know, like that could just create so many more problems, you know. So just don't underestimate what the haughty person could do. So what would be the first half? Either Avital, according to the way you were thinking, or according to the way that I'm thinking. I don't know if these are the same idea, but what would the first half be that corresponds to this? Oh, I know. Well, does anyone have any ideas? So I'm gonna say if you do a joint venture with a humble, okay, i.e., those who have a realistic idea of themselves and their place in reality, then you know not only will they not try to like wrest more profit uh, from you, but they'll have an accurate, egoless understanding of the situation and of your respective roles, and they'll be able to see your contributions for what they are, and won't try to to greedily augment their own greatness. Yeah. So it's just like this is kind of following your approach, Tamar, that you suggested, which is that this is talking to some like the person in the pasuk wants spoils, um, and it's just saying, yeah, you want spoils. You're not really going to get a distribution of spoils if you're doing this with a haughty person, but you want to have a business partner who's going to like give you really recognize what you're worth and what you're contributing and give you a fair thing. Find someone who's humble, you know? Yeah. I really do wonder if shval, in Chazal's Hebrew, shval ruach is yeah, and also in Tanakh it means low spirited in the sense of humble. I wonder how often shval ruach could be low in society also, um, because that would really fit as a good opposite with the Gaim. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, let's do a couple of mefarshim and then we'll bring it to a close for tonight. Okay, so let's do Mitzvahs David. I haven't read this one yet. Yoser tov lios shval ruach lihischaber im hanavim. It is better to be lowly spirited, lihischaber im hanavim. I think by joining, or sorry, by befriending. Well, befriending or joining, the humble. Af im at yarviach imam. Okay, that was the missing implication. Even if you won't profit much with them, milihios michalek shalo rav measher yarviach im hageim. Then to divide great wealth with in a way that you'll profit from the proud, the haughty. Ki pen yilami masem. Okay, lest you learn from their actions. Okay, so this is like my dad was saying. All right, good. I don't think we need to. I think that's exactly what my dad was saying. All right, so we don't need to look into that more. Okay, good. All right, Rabbeinu Yonah says, shval shem davar, b'shekel yitnu yakar levalehen. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yakar and shafal. So shafal is lowliness. B'shefel kol hatachana, at the lowness of the voice of the grinding. Okay, but Tom, whatever. The meaning, liknos shiflus haruach im hanavim, is that one should acquire lowliness of spirit with the poor, ulischaber lahem, and to befriend them, lilmod darche anava, to learn the ways of humility, ayde chavrasam, through their friendship, miliknos mamun ularviach shalal umitzius im game, than to acquire money and great profits from and being with the haughty. Okay, I think that's also the same. Oh, that was just filling in the other half. All right, so far so good. Okay, now the Meiri combines this with the previous pasuk. Okay, and I used ChatGPT here because I didn't have time to translate, but I'm going to go ahead and read and translate now. So again, the previous pasuk said, before breaking is haughtiness, and before stumbling is haughtiness of spirit, highness of spirit. Okay, so he says, this is a lesson that you should be careful about the trait of haughtiness. It is a great cause of making a person lowly. Okay, meaning like humbling a person in a bad way. Ki ha'adam Yachid lahagbias atzmo, because man is singular in how much he raises himself up. The elef kenegdo lahashpila, and there will be 1,000 things against him to bring him down. Kishiruhu misnase biyeser michuko haroylo, when they see him raising himself up more than his proper share that he deserves. Okay, so that's for the first pasuk. Valzeh amar lifnei shever gaon. Regarding that, it says before breaking is haughtiness, or is arrogance. Klomar shagaon husibasa, meaning that the arrogance is its cause. So do when a person stumbles in anything. Gavhus rucho hayakodim kishlono. V'haya ze sibaso. The haughtiness of his spirit was the cause of his stumbling, and that was its cause. Or sorry, preceded its stumbling, and that was his cause. Therefore, it's better for a person to be low of spirit with other poor people, who are submissive, and you could be friends with them, than to divide spoils with the haughty, who gamkein inyan geus adan tashbilano. Okay, so I don't know so far if this is a new idea or if it's just a combo of the way we learn both psukim. So I'm going to assume that. The proof, I'm going to read this part in English because it's psukim. The proof of this is evident. Paro said, "Who is Hashem that I should listen to his voice?" Sancheir said, "Who among all the gods of the land saved their land from my hand?" Goliath said, "I have defied the ranks of Israel." Nebuchadnezzar said, "And who is the God who could deliver you from my hands?" And look and observe what became to them in the end. Okay, so they all got broken down from their haughtiness. And conversely, before honor comes humility, as you can see. Abraham said, "I am but dust and ashes." Moshe and Aaron said, "Who? But what are we?" David said, "I am a worm and not a man." Gideon said, "Behold, my family is the least in Manasseh." Shaul said, "Am I not a Benjaminite from the smallest of the tribes of Israel?" Moshe, our teacher, said, "Who am I that I should go to Paro?" Jeremiah the prophet said, "Behold, I do not know how to speak." Amos the prophet said, "I am neither a prophet nor the son of a prophet. Rather, I am a herdsman." Look at what became of them in the end. So, interesting observation. A lot of this is just examples, but I do think it's interesting that think about in our culture. Okay. Think about let's just say, I don't know, Disney characters, who are heroes, or protagonists of stories that people like. And if you ask what is the common media that they all have, it would not be humility. So the fact that we have all of our greatest heroes here, and the common trait is humility, and the greater they are, the more humble they are, that is something unique about our culture. And same thing with like the way that we portray, the way that in villains are portrayed in terms of, I mean, it does portray their haughtiness, but also greed. But I think haughtiness is the main thing. So at least they got that part right. But it is interesting when he strings up all these examples like this. Okay, so I don't think there's anything new right now. Now, here's the one I wanted to get to, the Derech Nister. Okay, this is a good, it is a good anti-rationalist interpretation. Okay, with Derech Nister, Kara Kore Goon V'Gova Ruach LaHaPhilosof HaMischakim B'Yoser Midai. So this is on a hidden level. This is referring to the arrogance and haughtiness of spirit for the philosopher who becomes excessively wise, who literally makes himself wise more than like excessively, more than he should. Why or how so? Litlos kol emunaso al tzad hekesh va'iyun b'chakira mofsis, by making every belief of his dependent on logic and rational inquiry and investigative proofs. V'hu sibas ha'harisa v'kfira. This is a cause of breaking down the foundations of Torah and denying God, the heresy. V'hashever v'kishalon, and that is breaking and stumbling. V'lechein, therefore, tov shval ruach hanosen yado lachkor bamesh roilo. Better a person who is low-spirited to apply his hand to do rational analysis in what is proper for him. The al shar hadvarim nismach al hakabala hamitis, and but on other matters he should rely on the true tradition. Im hanavim vashvelim vatznuim hameshivim deosehem al kav hayosher v'kabbalas Torah. Along with the humble and the low-spirited and the modest who settle their settle their opinions or their views on the line of uprightness and the tradition of the Torah. Now, a person who does not know the Meiri or does not know like how true philosophers think, will look at this and be like, see, he's against proof, No, that's not what he's against. He's a Rishon from Provence who is a, Maimonidean through and through. And so many of his Derech Nisser was talking about how you should investigate and prove everything with your own mind, right? But what's the key word here? The key word is yoser midai, okay? Is going too far in your philosophy or being excessive. And I think he's getting that from Koheles. This is in 7 or 9. Oop, I spelled it wrong. Yes, I spelled it wrong. This is from Koheles 7:16. Al tihi tzadik harbiv al tischakam yoser. Do not be too righteous and don't be too wise. Don't make yourself too wise. Lama tishamim. Why be desolate? I just want to see if I have a go-to interpretation of this from my meforshim here. No, I don't think I can find mine. Yeah. So the way the Meiri saying it is yes, we value logical proof and chakira, first-hand investigation. But if you exceed your boundaries, okay, that is Roy low, okay? If you exceed your own boundaries and like try to prove stuff that you're not on the level to prove, that will lead to disaster. Or if you try to prove stuff that cannot be proven. Meiri often says that we have two types of beliefs in Torah. There are beliefs in Torah that can be proven from outside of Torah, like God's existence and his oneness, and depending on who you ask, the creation of the universe. Those can be proven, but others you cannot prove. You cannot prove ideas about Hashgacha. You cannot prove ideas about Mashiach. We rely on Nevuah, reward and punishment. Ideas about Nevuah of Moshe Rabbeinu. We can't prove those ideas from outside of Torah. Rather, we can prove that the Torah was given at Sinai, and that establishes it on a rational basis, and then we accept through tradition these other things, and there's no way to prove it. So if you try to prove those, and then you will fail, and then you'll end up denying them. So I think this is a good. What an anti-rationalist would be quick to point a finger at and say, oh, look, he's against like rational thought. The answer is no, he's against irrational rational thought or rational irrational thought, but he is for seeking philosophical basis for things that are within your level and things that you can prove. And I'm not just getting that from this Meiri. This is all over the Meiri in Derech Nisser's all over Mishlei. Yeah. Okay. I actually think I am going to stop for tonight. I know we didn't get any additional interpretations from the meforshim that were on the pshat level, because it turned out that we were too good this time. Pat on the back because we're so great, Mishlei. No, I'm just kidding. We got the Mitzvahs David and Rabbeinu Yonah, and then the Meiri was really consistent with our idea last week. The examples did help, and the application to philosophy I think is a good idea. But let's review our ideas. So we had Ario's idea that the Haughty people are going to take credit, but I think we actually subsumed that under other ideas. So the main idea, I think, which Rabbeinu Yonah and Mitzvahs David agreed with, is my dad's idea, which is that we're talking about the opportunity cost, which is, yeah, you can get money, but you're going to ruin your character, which is going to ruin all your decision making, which might even ruin your money, in the end. If you spend time with Haughty people. And if you align yourself with humble people, that will rub off on you, and you'll get all the first of all, it'll just be a more enjoyable relationship, but then you'll get all the benefits out of those midos that you get from them as well. And yeah, there's a cost to it, which is that you're not going to be like, playing with the cool kids, or making money. But you're going to win in the end. Okay. And then Isaiah's idea was talking about the same scenario, but the decision to get in and get out really quick and make the money, or like think that you're not going to be affected by this haughty person, that is haughtiness. And so to counteract that, you have to like lower yourself and realize like, no, I need, someone told me, someone was in a situation of where the Jewish environment around them was not so good, and they were kind of bemoaning their own, like, that they're not learning as much, and like they don't have as much motivation to like go to Minyan or whatever. And they were lamenting that and saying how they can't wait till they move to a Jewish community that like they they enjoy. And I said, you're right to bemoan it, but don't feel like it's a failing. Like the Ram says in Hilos Deos, we are I'll read it because I haven't read it in a while, and I have to keep up the quota. Otherwise they don't let me keep my Mishnah Torahs if I don't count it quoted enough. All right, Hilos Deos chapter 6, halacha aleph. It's the way human nature to be drawn in his character traits and his actions after his companions and friends, and to behave like the people in his society. Therefore, a person needs to befriend tzaddikim and sit or dwell with chachamim tamid constantly, so that he learns their actions. And he should distance himself from the wicked who walk in darkness, so that he does not learn from their actions. This is what Shlomo says: one who walks with the wise will become wise, and one who befriends fools will be broken. And David says, happy is / praiseworthy is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the wicked. So in other words, it's not a failing if you need a religious environment to be religious. That's human nature, So same thing here. Don't be willing to cut the cost, like you have to pay the cost of social capital or money capital to be with people who might not be so popular, but who are going to be good for your mitos. Yeah. Okay. Then we had Tamar's idea, which I think did fit into several ones, which is that whatever you think you're going to get from those haughty people, you're going to actually not get it, and you're going to have more odds of getting it from the humble. And then Avital's idea was that sharing in the glow of the haughty people is a reality distortion field around them and around you, and that's going to have consequences when you get infected with that distortion of reality. Whereas if you're with people who are humble and genuine and authentic and are themselves, you'll take that on as well, and you also won't fall into those traps. And then my idea was, if you enter into an agreement with a haughty person to try to get spoils, by nature of by virtue of their haughtiness, they're just going to try to take advantage of you or feel like you owe them, or they're going to like put you down. It's going to be bad. You don't want to be in the vicinity of a haughty person, especially if you're in competition with them. Even in their eyes, they're going to take it out on you. But if you join with the humble, you'll get whatever the profit is coming to you, and then you also get all the benefits that we've said before. Okay, this was a very profitable idea. So that's good. So no Mishlei next week, and maybe not the week after, because I'm at, God willing, the cabin next week, and then I think I might still want to just finish out winter break before I resume my shiurim. So this is good. Until next time, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.